We're on. We're live. I don't know if we're ready.
February 15th, the day after Valentine's Day. It's
Depends on
45
how much
degrees.
preparation I've done.
12:30 p.m. Episode 41, podcast 41. We'll hit 100 before you know it. There's dudes out there fucking doing podcasts that don't even have 40 podcasts.
Really?
Yeah.
They probably have better content than we do. Come on.
Hardly.
There was somebody recently on Joe Rogan. I can't think. Tim Pool, I think is his name.
Mm-hmm.
That he had some good. He was saying some good stuff about on Joe Rogan's show. I'm gonna subscribe to this guy's podcast. So I find his podcast. He still has some good points that he's making, but his fucking podcasts are 12 minutes long. And it's like, I can't even.
You know why?
I don't even need the time to do this.
Because he's busy being on everybody's shows.
Probably, but I'm like 12 mintes long. That's not a podcast.
Or you'll hear
that's
a dude.
That's a commercial.
You'll hear a dude you really, really like. And then you go listen to him on all these other shows, and he's telling the same fucking story. It's like the same thing on 20 people's shows.
It's just a commercial. I don't have time for commercials.
So this is from, these notes are going to be from episode 37. These are comments for the video that went up yesterday. I got a notification on my phone. Somebody posted a new one that's not on here. And what they basically said is, what do you think about Nancy Pelosi basically saying that the president could just declare a state of emergency and ban guns? We're years away from that. Like, everybody's up in arms over that shit. That bitch hopefully is dead by then. It could have happened all these other times. It could have happened all these other times and it hasn't fucking happened.
It actually couldn't have.
Could not have?
Could not have.
How so?
So here's the thing that you need to be afraid of. What you need to be afraid of is you need to be afraid of Democrats because they are going to legislate anti-gun stuff. So they're going to legislate anti-gun stuff. Then it is going to be law. A presidential emergency is not a law. It's not. It really doesn't do anything. Here's the thing. Nancy Pelosi is just trying to scare you into scaring Donald Trump into not doing this shit and not stealing money from the Defense Department, which they get way too much money anyways, and building some fucking barriers, whatever. But here's the thing. He said that today. So today he's like, hey, national emergency, I'm going to divert money. The Democrats, I guarantee you, you guys are going to see this. So you guys are going to, I'm in the future, you guys are going to see this in the past. But the Democrats, I guarantee you right now, have already written up a rebuttal, and it's going to be legally challenged. It is going to go to the Supreme Court, and unfortunately for Donald Trump, he's going to lose. The Supreme Court will say this is not a national emergency that we need to address. So Donald Trump's going to lose. So Nancy Pelosi saying what she said is moronic from the sense of we don't have an outcome yet. The outcome is not, he's rolled the dice on the table and we have no idea what are on the dice yet because it's going to get challenged in court and he's going to lose. The other thing about gun rights is you create a constitutional crisis. A constitutional crisis. Unlike fucking, border wall, then nowhere in the Constitution does it say border wall. On the other hand, guns are in the Constitution. So he will create a constitutional crisis, and it really is too early for Democrats. In 10 years...
How is he?
Not him. I'm saying
Gotcha.
if the next president is a Democrat and the next president goes, I'm going to use emergency powers to take away everybody's guns. Well, that's a constitutional crisis. It's not just emergency powers.
And what the fuck does her having said? What the fuck's her saying that have anything to do with a fucking border wall?
This is why she's doing it. The reason why Nancy Pelosi is going, we're going to come after your guns with the next Democratic president, is she's trying to get Trump...
They're going to anyway.
Yeah, they're going to come after the guns anyways. But they need to do it legislatively. They can't do it with emergency powers because that's how a revolutionary war gets started.
And that's the other part of the question. The other part of the question was if they actually do this. Because there's a lot of people. I saw 20 people make this post last night as I was looking through feeds for a minute. People that, like real dudes, not just fucking retards just sharing that shit. Like real people making original posts, with that content. And that's the thing, like, what do you think would happen if they did it? So what she basically said is, the next time there's a school shooting, we'll just have the president will just put forth some legislation, Emergency War Powers Act, and we'll just take all the guns. We'll start gun confiscation. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, they can't.
But let's say it happens. What do you see happening at that point?
What do I see happening at that point?
Because that's what
You're
everybody's
gonna have,
saying, Civil War.
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
It's not.
It just depends on how uncomfortable they make you. If they actually start going door to door and fucking pulling people out of their houses and taking guns, there's going to be a there is going to eventually, they are eventually going to get to a door that is going to respond with bullets. Here's the thing. The federal government is really good. They are really good at sneaking over to somebody's house at 3 o'clock in the morning, kicking the door in and pulling them out of the house and taking them and putting them in jail. They are terrible. Terrible. They have a terrible record when it comes to people who are already in place with firearms that are willing to use those firearms to defend their freedom. Anytime that's the situation, the federal government fails horrifically. They always fail. That's why the last two big ones that you've seen, the one in Arizona and the one up in Oregon, the federal government was just like, yeah, okay, we're just going to let you guys eat MREs and we're not going to do anything. Because they fail horrifically and it makes them look like shit.
Who was in Oregon?
It was part of the, some of the guys from Arizona that actually went up there because, same thing, the federal government was not allowing grazing rights in certain lands up there. And so they actually took over a park. One of those guys was actually executed by the FBI. So, we're terrible. The federal government's terrible at that shit. So, the reality is, I mean, are they going to come for my guns first? Nope. You're gonna know when it happens, and you're gonna know, like, if you live in a free state. Let's say you live in Tennessee. Let's say you're lucky enough to live in Tennessee. If you live in a free state, you're going to have so much warning. You're going to have so much warning that this is happening that you can just go to sleep every night when they start. Because it's not going to start in Tennessee. It's going to start in New York City. It's going to start in California. It's going to start in Washington, D.C. It's going to start in the liberal enclaves that they already have control of. That's where it's going to start. And unfortunately, I believe, for those dumbasses, so will the revolution. They will start in those areas. Because, you know, I hate on California a lot. I really do. But there are a lot of freedom-loving, red-blooded Americans armed to the teeth that live in California. A lot more than the 1991 first assault weapons ban. So they do an assault weapons ban in 1991 in California. I register my rifles. I register all the stuff that was supposed to be done. When it was done, the Department of Justice came out and said, hey, look.
Not even 1%.
40,000 people in LA County alone did not register their assault rifles.
Those are the ones they knew about.
40,000. And this, remember, this is 1991. This was before AR-15s were popular. The only reason why the federal ban went through is because people really weren't shooting AR-15s at that time. Now it is the most collected firearm in the world. 29,000 lower receiver droses were being done a month in California during the Obama administration. Think about that. Think how many AR-15s that was going into California. California is still, even with all the laws they have, still the number one buyer of firearms and firearms-related product in the United States. So, when the revolution does start somewhere, if you live anywhere free, if you live in Texas or you live in Tennessee, if you're lucky enough to live in Tennessee, it's not going to start there. It's going to start in these places where Democrats just really are not prepared. Because while they are trying to convert law enforcement, while they are trying to convert military to their communist way of thinking,
they're doing a good job little by little.
Yeah, they are. They're chipping away at it little by little. Most of the fucking guys that will actually have to be knocking on people's doors are still red-blooded Americans, and they're going to have a hard time enforcing it. It'll definitely be interesting, and it's definitely a possibility if they want to create a constitutional crisis like that. But I don't see it. Nancy Pelosi is blowing smoke. What Nancy Pelosi was doing by saying that, was trying to get Trump supporters to be scared of a Democratic president, so they would start flooding Trump with phone calls saying, hey man, don't fucking do this. We don't want them coming after our guns. Totally different playing field. Once again, like I said before, border wall is not mentioned in the Constitution. The right to have arms is mentioned in the Constitution, so you would create a constitutional crisis. And the other thing is, Donald Trump is not going to be able to redirect these funds from the Defense Department. It's going to get challenged in court. They're going to put an injunction on it. By the end of this week, that's all they're going to be talking about is how the Democratic Party put an injunction on it, and it's going to go up to the Supreme Court. And I believe he will lose at the Supreme Court level.
Even it's not even going to be heard while he's still president.
This might be one of those things that they fast track. Yeah. So maybe it may be heard while he's president. But yeah, and so what that means is, even with Donald Trump declaring this emergency, the Democrats are not going to be able to do it in the future. The only thing they care about is passing laws. They're going to continue to incrementally pass smaller and smaller laws against gun owners until there are no more gun owners. So that's the thing you have to worry about. Don't let them be elected.
And if you're really concerned that we're enough about this, that we're having this conversation, because it's all over Facebook right now. If that's what occupies your day to day, and it's occupying enough of your weekend, maybe you should make some plans to fucking leave. Like, move out of California, move out of New York, like go someplace that's a little freer. Even if that shit came to Tennessee, that's not going to start fucking rural Tennessee. It's going to start in Nashville.
Yeah, I have a good friend who is in Tennessee right now. Who's still in California. And due to the type of work he was doing contract work in oil fields, other countries. He actually missed the registration portion, the registration thing that they recently did in California as far as registering all the firearms you have, blah, blah, blah. So technically, he's a felon in the state of California. Not because he wanted to bury his guns. This guy's a straight-laced dude. He was an officer, and he was an officer in the Marine Corps, so he's pretty straight-laced, and he had no intentions of averting his firearms from the California Department of Justice. But due to things out of his control, he missed it. He missed that deadline because he wasn't even like thinking about the politics of what's going on in California. So he missed that deadline. And he was just telling me about that last night, and I'm like, man, here you are, you're talking about
Is he telling you over the phone?
Yeah, you're telling me all these great things you're doing, and how your business is thriving, and you're going to be You're telling me this, but then it's going to be the simplest thing. It's going to be that one little thing where they find that AR-15 magazine or whatever the fuck that they don't, and then now you're a felon because of that stupid little thing. And he's 100% law-abiding citizen, loves his country, These laws that they're passing that are making regular citizens felons are illegal. They're illegal. They just LA City Council right now just unanimously passed a bill that all contractors within the city have to let them know if they do any business with the NRA. That's illegal.
Holy shit.
But they're going to get away with it because it's California. And nobody's going to do anything. My personal opinion is if you're a contractor in California, the next time LA County tries to build anything, a fucking sidewalk, a fucking light pole, the next time LA County tries to build anything, you need to sue them. You need to sue the shit out of them. That's the only thing they understand. They just lost the bullet train. The bullet train, this fucking 77 trillion.
After they took a bunch of people's property and fucking cut down all the orchards that had been in the family over 100 years. They just fucking cut the water to it so they could take this dude's property. There's hundreds of stories like that.
$77 trillion that the state of California was going to flush down the fucking toilet. And that's flushing it down the toilet. They talked about, your Democratic leaders in California talked about universal health care for everyone in California. Does California have that yet? No, you know why? Because it's too fucking expensive. They can't do it. Anyways, $77 trillion for this fucking bullet train. The governor just fucking ixnayed it yesterday or the day before. You know why it got ixnayed? Because all the municipalities between San Francisco and San Diego sued the shit out of the state of California. Because the state of California was like, hey, we're going to run through your neighborhood, eminent domain, fuck you, the train's not even going to stop here. So all those municipalities are like, yeah, no, we're suing the shit out of you. And guess what? The train is no longer going to San Diego or even San Francisco. It's done. It's a dead deal. Why? Because that's the only thing that's the only thing those politicians understand is money. So all you fucking all you contractors in Los Angeles, I don't even care if you give money to the NRA or not. Sue the shit out of them next time they want to put in a sidewalk. And that'll get them to change their mind.
All right. Daniel Marshall says, what you just said about religion, wow, my thoughts exactly.
I don't know what I said, Daniel.
Here's another one.
God bless you.
Oh, your comments about coal and London, the pea soup or pea soup or smog. People were dying from the smog. By all accounts, China was at or got to a similar state as it became industrial. However, I remember in the late 70s, early 80s, as a kid, all the buildings here where I was living, where I live, being black as a black thing. In fact, black like coal. But to nowadays, we have the Clean Air Act. You can use coal wood-fired stoves, but you must ensure there's no smoke coming out of the chimney smokestack. All the buildings have been cleaned, and you'd never know how filthy the town center buildings were. Sadly, as Skully points out, the clamor for nuclear power is flawed, given the pretty much whenever nuclear power goes south or becomes fucked into a cocked hat, never heard that, fucked into a cocked hat, it cannot be cleaned up. Yes, 26th of April, 1986, Pripyat, spelling, even now, 30 years later, is still off limits. Great videos, as always. Thank you again, and I'm getting you a package ready for posting. Please bear with me. Right on. Thanks, dude. Pripyat, you can actually go there. If you just look up Chernobyl tourism, just put it in Instagram. They post every single day. You can actually go to Chernobyl for about $1,200, and I believe that even includes the fucking airfare to go there. It doesn't cost shit to go see that place.
Yeah, if you feel like nuclear power is the answer, go ahead and look up the 20 most polluted areas on the planet, and it's all because of nuclear power. Nuclear power destroys it. When it goes bad, it goes bad, and you can't get out sponges and clean it up. You can't do nothing. And I'll give you an example. When they did the Pacific tests, when they were blowing up the Pacific Fleet right after World War II with the nuclear bombs, they did an underwater test. They did a above water test, and it didn't destroy enough ships. So they're like, okay, what happens if we do an underwater test? So they did an underwater test, and it fucked up a bunch of ships. And then the Navy, in their infinite wisdom, was going out there and having sailors clean ships and get them ready to do another test. And they were going to do another test.
Why are they cleaning ships to do another test to blow them up?
I don't know why they would have those guys scrub the ships. It just didn't make any sense. To get the radiation off, to get the fallout off of the ships, so the generals could walk around on the ship without getting contaminated. I guess they were dumb. People were dumb back then. The general staff that was in charge of those tests wanted to do another test, and the doctor was like, "Man, all this stuff is way over radiated. We can't use it anymore." And the general staff, because radiation is one of those things that you don't realize you're dying until you are fucking dying. And when it hits you, it's not like anything you ever want to be. You don't want any part of that. So these fucking officers are like, oh, this fucking radiation shit just a hyped up myth. We need to just do this again. So this doctor, Navy doctor, jumps in the fucking bay where they had just dropped this fucking nuclear bomb, grabs a fish, brings it on board the ship. He takes photo paper, he puts the photo paper on the table, then he takes this fish and he puts it on the photo paper, and it overexposes the entire photo paper. So they're like, yeah, we're good. We're gonna go home. That's a good test right there. Yeah, radiation is nothing to fuck with, and anytime you got these hippie yahoos waving the banner for nuclear power, just have them go look at the 20 most polluted places on the planet. It's all nuclear waste, and surprisingly, a lot of it is right in your own backyard.
There's a lot of videos.
You'd be amazed. On YouTube. You'd be amazed at how much fucking nuclear waste is just kicked into a hole.
Not only that, a lot of it's just they literally kicked it in a hole, poured concrete over it. They don't know how they're gonna fix it, and it's leaking. And it was shit they just fucking left there, like they didn't do dick with.
Yeah,
they always show you the great containment, but there's always the shit to the side that you don't see where they didn't contain any of it. John Skully, Pelosi just threatened. That's the one I was talking about.
They threatened him? What?
Pelosi about the mainstream researchers admit Hitler never killed himself. Yes, it is said that the skull the Russians have is actually a female skull, and is in fact not Hitler's. Was helped to escape to South America where he died. Thoughts? And then he gives a source. Yeah, I believe that's 100% true. There's some SF dudes that had a show called Hunting Hitler or Finding Hitler. They were on Rogan. Those dudes were like recent Army SF dudes got out, and they had these dudes running through Argentina and Brazil and shit looking for Hitler. And Rogan asked him about it, and he goes, yeah, 100%. Fucking Hitler did not commit suicide. There's a lot of shit. The CIA even came out fucking in the JFK files when they released and said, oh, by the way, fucking Hitler was... Jeff, go ahead and tell him.
So when President Trump released all the documents pertaining to the John F. Kennedy assassination, this is part of the reason why they don't like to release information, because anything that is credible during that time period will be in those files. So while you're looking up, while you think you're looking up who killed John F. Kennedy, there might be a paper in there from the CIA saying, hey, a UFO landed in New Mexico. It's kind of the reason why they don't like to release those mass reams of documents, because the reality is, just like every bill that gets passed up there in Congress, they don't read that shit. They don't know what's in the fucking in those files, especially if it's a paper file. If it's paper files they're bringing out, there's nobody in the government that read any of that shit. Anyways, so inside the John F. Kennedy, and you can look this up. It was published. It's been released. Inside the John F. Kennedy classified information, there's a CIA report about a confirmed Nazi SS officer. So this Nazi SS officer is in Argentina, and he's hanging out with this expatriate from the United States, and they're talking about Adolf Hitler, and he goes, oh, Adolf Hitler's alive. He lives down here in, I can't think of the name of town. And the guy's like, bullshit, we killed him. Now this is in the 60s. It's like, bullshit, we killed Adolf Hitler. He's like, no. Here's a picture of me and him hanging out at this fucking place in Argentina. Here it is right here. And the guy's like, look at the back of the picture. It's Adolf Hitler, 1960, whatever, blah, blah. So the guy's like, oh, okay. Well, the expat immediately comes to the United States, gets a hold of the CIA and says, hey, check this out. This is what I know. This guy says Adolf Hitler is in fucking Argentina. The CIA does what they're supposed to do. They're like, all right, it's not a credible source. Can you get the picture? And he goes, I'm sure I can get the picture. So he goes back, he gets the picture, he brings it, he shows it to the CIA. The CIA look at it. They have all their fucking ninjas look at it. Now remember, this is 1960. So this is before everybody started doing crazy shit with film. CIA look at it, and they publish a paper that says there's a good probability that Adolf Hitler is alive and well in Argentina. Now, at the time that happened, at the roughly time that happened was the same time, and I'm sorry if I can't remember the name of the ship, but the Israelis actually attacked one of our ships off the coast of Israel, lied and said it was fucking Egyptians, and then come to find out, because they didn't kill the entire crew, the crew's like, hell no, it was fucking Israeli Skyhawks that came and fucking shot up this ship. So there was a little bit of Cold War tension going on with the Israelis at that time. So why would we tell them that Adolf Hitler was still alive? And the other thing, 1960, people were pretty much over with World War II. So you never know what kind of crazy shit is going to come out. They also, in the same exact documents, there is a credible classified document from the Air Force that says, yes, UFOs are coming to this planet on the regular. So just look it up. It's in those fucking documents. That government published it.
Weapons Collection said, that was my point. It was our government wasting shit in Puerto Rico. I'm not sure what we're talking about. I'm so happy I never got into Facebook. Started an account years ago, but never put anything on it other than my name. Haven't touched it in 8 or 10 years. I like the second smallest generator Honda has, 2200i, I believe, because you can get 2 and piggyback them to run 30 amps at 220. I believe you can do that with a 1000 also. So I still run my welder or lathe. Plus, you can buy it in pieces to help spread out the cost. If you bug out, if your bug out vehicle is a full size diesel truck, I highly recommend a Titan tank. Mine is 67 gallons of fuel plus an extra 5 in the NATO cans. Gives me a cunt hair over 1,000-mile range, plus an extra 5 in the. Why are you only carrying one can?
Because he's got fucking
great for road trips too.
A 62-gallon gas tank.
Transfer Flow makes one also. There's a bunch of companies that make them. They're metal. They do hang down a lot lower, but Transfer Fuel makes one that's 60 gallons also. You could also use the bed box gas tank ones. There's a ton of stuff you can do that with. And why don't they do it in fuel? Why don't they have bigger fuel ones? Some of them are, but not like you always see. They don't want you to put fuel in those ones in your bed. I guess because of the possibility of spark or something.
Oh, fuel in your regular fuel?
Yeah, gasoline.
Unleaded fuel. Yeah, it's because the bigger unlike diesel, the bigger the volume of area is, the more flammable gas you'll have in there.
Gotcha.
You know, as you use that fuel, and so bigger explosion.
In my opinion, a Christian is similar to everyone being infected with a zombie virus. Jesus Christ is the cure. Jesus, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but through me. A cure only works if you allow it into your body. There is one cure. Taking the wrong cure will kill you. So, are you Christian or are you not Christian? I'm not sure where.
I don't care. Once again, too, I don't care what you need to believe in. You know, unfortunately, if you think that if everybody was an atheist, the world would be a better place. It wouldn't be, because if there were no consequences, I'm telling you right now, that's not a world you'd want to live in, because there would be Vikings running around raping and pillaging your fucking whatever you got. I mean, it's just, that's it. The reason why the church has been so popular is because the church, like governments, unifies people to a common cause. That's a good thing. I don't care what people believe in, as long as they're unified for a common cause. Also creates bad things, you know. The church can unify for a common cause where we go on a fucking crusade to kill millions of people. But we do better when we are unified. The minute we separate into our tribes, all fucking bets are off. I'll tell you right now, if there wasn't... Oh, man, I can't say it. Never mind.
Yeah, you can.
No, I can't. I cannot say it. I can't say it.
Agree 100%. We have been giving way too much money to people who hate us for entirely too long. Mind your own business and take care of you and yours first. 100%. Same thing. If we operate on anyone, they're going to die.
What? Not really. They might live. It depends on what kind of operation and how good the YouTube channel feed is.
Fastest way to find a tin can of garbanzo beans is to grab a tin can full of chickpeas and rotate the bitch 180 degrees. What are your personal and SOE's long-term goals? Do you guys have an EDC pocket dump video? If not, would you guys make one? What if all gods don't exist? The biggest con of all time? What is your thoughts on universal? Dude, you're asking way too many fucking questions
in
for
one
us to
thing,
do
yeah.
this. For example, if government sets laws, the whole U.S. over all these states and city making the laws, you can be in a city where the local, state, and federal laws are all... Well, we are. Like, fucking... Yeah, federal law overrides a bunch fucking of California's laws and Colorado's laws and Tennessee's laws. Like, we already are. Like how weed is legal in Canada and Washington State, but if you cross the border with it, you end up in jail. I have only used Facebook. I have other accounts on other platforms, but never used them. Never understood the point of using other platforms when one can do all the same. Well, let me tell you, because like our page gets banned. People luckily still want to buy our shit, so we use MeWe. Why do I use MeWe? Remember when you started using Facebook, how all that shit, all those buttons you clicked, you saw shit from them every day, and you know how you don't now? And you know how like all of a sudden you'll go, you're like, hey, I haven't seen anything from SOE. And you go and look and you're unsubscribed? We didn't unsubscribe you, Facebook did.
Facebook.
MeWe is like Facebook was 8-9 years ago. Everything you subscribe to, you see. So how do we use MeWe? Well, I bribe guys to use it. Why do you want a MeWe account? Because I post on, when we have small, limited numbers of things, like right now we have 6 black active shooter bags. And we just did vehicle med bags in 3 different colors. There's only a dozen of them each. I put them on MeWe over an hour before I put them on Instagram. And I put them on Instagram before I put them on Facebook. Facebook bans and blocks me pretty frequently. I don't ever get banned on MeWe, and it's very, very rare that anything... I've never been banned on Instagram. So, yeah, I get you don't want to use those other platforms, which is fine. But there's a lot of shit. If you wanted to buy our shit, by the time it shows up on Facebook, that shit's already gone.
Here's the other thing, too. Is Facebook is a monopoly. It is a monopoly controlled by one person. And he can do whatever he wants with that platform. If you don't use the other platforms and allow the other platforms to grow, then there's no competition for Facebook. And if there's no competition for Facebook, then they can do whatever the fuck they want. They don't have to compete with anybody in order to get your business because your business is there. And then back to your crossing state law, federal law supersedes state law, blah, blah, blah. Something that a lot of potheads don't know is federally it is illegal to sell marijuana. Federally. If the federal government tomorrow, if Donald Trump tomorrow said, you know what? Fuck Colorado. They could send federal agents into the state of Colorado and confiscate all the dope and all the dope money. They could confiscate every bit of it. And there is nothing the state of Colorado could do. Because federal law supersedes state law. Now, Trump's not going to do that. And it's part of the reason why he fired Jeff Sessions. Is because old Trumpster has got something up his sleeve. He's going to legalize marijuana. That's why hemp has already been legalized by Donald Trump. He's going to legalize marijuana, and it's going to fucking destroy the Democratic Party. Hopefully.
Now look at the other side of that, though. Right now, all you guys showing your bongs and smoking weed on Facebook, more power to you, man. Mm-hmm. If you want to do something in your house that doesn't affect somebody else outside your house, or much less if it doesn't affect me. I don't give a fuck what you do if it doesn't affect me or somebody that I care about. More power to you. But right now, while you're doing all that shit, if they decide they're going to come take your guns because you're not allowed, you can't fucking smoke weed and own guns. You can't pass the fucking background check if you fucking smoke weed. They just haven't really started enforcing that. There's some cases of it already. They'll come knock on your door. So let's say Trump does fucking put all the weed out and it's all legal. Let's say that happens, and then the next president goes, psych, we're just kidding, weed's illegal again. Now they got a list of all you guys. Like, you think they don't fucking know? Like, they go around. It's just like they're going around right now to people in California. If you've had any altercations with your spouse, what do they call it? Domestic violence. If you have any domestic violence shit, there's tons of people who have had these cases and never turned their guns in. They're going and knocking on doors and taking the guns away right now. It'll come. As soon as they need to generate some money or whatever, it'll happen. They need to keep people in the fucking system. All the privatized jails right now fucking up in arms because they bought all these fucking prisons, and now their fucking prisons aren't full because they're not fucking prosecuting marijuana cases. The DEA came out, 2-3 years ago, said we are not going to prosecute any marijuana cases anymore. At least in Chicago and New York they did. When they need that money back, they're going to fucking find that money, and they're going to do it by fucking you guys. Skully, you are right. If we just flatten the next issue country, it will give us some respect again, but people can't handle it nowadays. John, one of the things I like about you is you always, as you say, don't believe me, go find out what I'm telling you is the truth. It's hard to find that in people nowadays. That is why I don't know you, but I feel like I trust you, and that is very rare. I don't have anything to gain by telling you this shit. This is just kind of entertainment. Like, we don't really realize how fucked up everything around us is until you start looking. And I don't know that we're any better for really knowing it, but I need you to be able to trust me. Like, when I tell you something, like, a lot of the shit we say is so far-fetched because I'm like, there's no fucking way that can be true. And I went and looked for myself. It doesn't take a lot to find it. There's a lot of material on this shit. So that's the thing. We don't want you to take what we're saying and repeat it. I want one of these things to plant a seed somewhere and you go find out for yourself. That's the thing. I can't ever be caught in a lie. Like, all the shit I've done, all my skeletons, I put them out there because then the fucking nobody has any ammunition against me. Go look it up for yourself. Just that's the case. That's why when I'm on live feed or something and I say something, I walk over and show you it. Otherwise, you won't hear me say it factually. You might hear me say I think, or this might be the case or something. But if I tell you something, I'm going to show you, and that's how I think it should be. Social media is very manipulative. People show you what they want you to see. You only see the fucking fun things. You don't see all the other shit. That's why we turn cameras on all the time. Like, you see, there's real work happening all the time. I agree with John. I think we are so weak right now, and we need something to help that. Maybe take the warning labels off for a while. John, did you hear what happened in Chicago with Harvest and James McDonald? He is founding pastor that just got fired for basically stealing from the church a lot of money. No, I hadn't heard of that.
I mean, you know what the funny part about that is? Getting caught stealing money from the church? That means that the church person above him that was stealing all the money from the church was mad that he was stealing money from the church.
That's
I mean, you think about the reality is if the Catholic Church or if religion in general got together and said, hey, you know what, we're gonna cure homelessness, they could do it. They could do it no problem. There's all kinds of things that they could do no problem. The reason why, you probably don't know this, but the reason why the Catholic Church forced its priests to be celibate and not have a spouse, not get married, is because of inheritance. The church at that time period was raking in tons and tons and tons of money. Lots of money. Getting statues and plaques and plate glass windows, making lots of money. But if you're giving that to me, and I have a family and children, then my wealth will pass on to them. And if my son doesn't necessarily want to be part of the church, then where does that wealth go? It goes with him. So if we make it so none of our priests can have families, then all the wealth goes back to the church. That is why the Pope sits on his grand chair of goldness in a walled city with his own private guard, because of all the wealth that they obtained over the years by fleecing their priests. Period. I mean, that's a fact. There's places in Vatican City that you can't go. Now, I want you to think about that. It's the church. It is the church.
Has their own standing military.
Why can't it's not a real military, but I mean, why would the church be able, why would the Pope be able to classify anything? Everything that the church has obtained is not for the glory of the Pope, but for God.
Why does the Pope have anything to say when fucking any government decisions are fucking made
Yeah,
in the
you
United
know,
States?
The Pope is going after people for all kinds of crazy shit now, and he won't disavow Como when he's talking about killing babies. You know, he's bought and paid for. The Pope is bought and paid for.
You know who the biggest real estate holder in the United States is? I know you guys are thinking McDonald's, right? There's all kinds of shit running through your head. It's the Catholic Church. Type that in. Just fucking look for yourself. Like, check that out. Check out who owns the most real estate in the fucking world. The biggest real estate holder in the world. It's the Catholic Church. Look that shit up. Just click a few of those videos and watch them. Canada loves giving away all their shit. Come on, guys. Canada really should be fucking...
It's like it's Northern California.
Yeah, it should be the storehouse for the United States. When we want your water, your wood, your resources. And then he goes on to say, like giving the USMC CAD pad. You should have seen the look on Jeff's face.
You shit. Fucking Canadians.
The gun culture is the gun industry's worst enemy. Nothing says I need more traffic like starting a 9 versus 45 SIG versus Glock argument. Of course, no. They're always every group you have, whether it's the gun companies, the snake industry, fucking whatever it is. Everybody's always fighting amongst themselves. I was thinking about that earlier, right? So all the gun legislation stuff, right? So they want to ban black guns. So in California, they give them, okay, well, we won't ban all the guns. We're just going to take the ones that have flash hiders. You can't have a flash hider. You can have a loudener, tighten your group up, but you can't have a flash hider. Well, it was snakes, right? Everybody was scared of snakes. And in California, it was any snake over 4 feet long. Well, that's all your boas, your pythons, right? But it's also your California king snakes, your gopher snakes, the snakes that are found in the wild and shit. A lot of those snakes get over 4 feet long. Well, then it became any constrictor over 4 feet, and it had to be in a cage, and all this scare. So then they had all this shit happen where they actually passed these federal laws. So the dudes that were in the hearings, these breeders came in and helped write the bylines. They helped write the guidelines. So a Burmese python, which is one of your heavier, bigger snakes. It's a very big snake. I've owned fucking probably 100 of them. Amanda found a picture. Somebody sent me a picture of one of the Burmese pythons we had that was like 18 feet or so in the back shop. Remember the albino?
Was it the blonde one?
So,
albino one? Big
Burmese pythons,
snake.
They're still legal. They breed them in every single state. They sell them within every state, but they can't move from state to state. Okay, what the fuck ever. But reticulated pythons, which can live out in the wild just like a Burmese python. I've got 2 reticulated pythons upstairs. Highly aggressive, way more aggressive. Not as heavy-bodied, but the longest snake. They get to be the longest out of most of the snakes. Those are legal. You can move those all over the place. So if you're a reptile breeder and if I want to go to New Mexico, I can take my shit to New Mexico and sell it, or fucking Indiana or wherever. But I can't move a Burmese python. Boas are wide open. But then
Why Burmese pythons? Why were they hating on Burmese?
Because
it's not. Is it
because one of the
in the
dudes,
United
I believe one of the dudes writing those regulations and helping write them was breeding reticulated pythons. So they had to kind of give them something. Right. So they gave them something to appease something else. Well, you know what else they gave them? They gave them yellow anacondas. So yellow anacondas are on this list. You can have one, but it can't come from another state. Okay. So I can go to a reptile shop or find a breeder here selling them, and I can go buy one, but I can't sell it out of state. But you know what I can have? A green anaconda. The yellow anaconda only gets about 6 feet long, whereas the green anaconda is your fucking heaviest bodied snake in the world, the one you see on the movies and they make all the fucking horror films about, right? They get, 20 feet, fucking hundreds of pounds. The big giant snake you see at the zoo in the corner cage, that's the anaconda. I can have a green anaconda, but I can't have a yellow anaconda. It's just like the gun shit.
Gun shit in California.
It's the same thing, man. It's everywhere. It's just like we were screaming, all the gun guys were screaming, YouTube's banning all the gun guys. They were, that's true. At the same time, they were banning all the fucking video game guys. They were banning anybody they were having to pay fucking royalties to.
Royalty, yeah.
So you guys going, why do I need anything other than Facebook? I'm 100% with you. Look at my Facebook page. I have 700,000 people on my Facebook page. I have 30,000 on Instagram. I have maybe 5,000 on MeWe. But when they lock those down, I still have those 5,000. The people that jump through hoops and join MeWe because I'm on MeWe, that back me up on MeWe in case because they still want to see what I have to say, those 5,000 people over there are going to buy something every month from me. If you have a true 1,000 fans, 1,000 customers, clients, followers, whatever it is, you can quit doing your day job and have a real job. It's the true 1,000. I am lucky that we have a true 5,000 over there. We have a true 30,000 on Instagram. I got 700,000 on Facebook, but when I make a post, you only see a few hundred people comment. It's the same ones that cared enough to go to the other page.
I need 1,000 of you to care enough about an M1 Abrams. I want the anti-mine one that has the plows on the front of it. That way I can...
That's the one I like.
Yeah, that way I can write it off as a tractor in the state of Tennessee.
The Transformer one.
Yeah.
So, by tearing down firearms manufacturers, I don't mean James. He has the reps to back his opinion, adds real value to the community, and keeps it real. Thanks for the podcast. You guys are killing it. Trout, thanks, man. How do you send a question for the podcast? You just fucking did it. Like, you just fucking did it. I've got dudes every day emailing. I've printed them out. You notice they're not here? Because it's just too much hassle. Like, they're sitting on my desk. They never make it in here. I got dudes emailing me questions for the podcast. You just did it. This is how you fucking do it. You go to the most recent podcast and fucking comment. I get it. Sometimes I'm dumb too. Like, I get it. A dude this morning, I'm scrolling through. I'm in a bunch of these oddities pages and groups, right? And I like children's medical stuff. It's fucking bizarre, I know. I found some prosthetics, little claw arms, little fucking claw arms and polio braces and shit. And I saw him up there, and the dude had 6 pictures, but there was 3 in each picture. And basically what he said was, you get to pick 2 that you want, but I'm going to keep the third. I'm going to keep one of the 3. And I was unclear as to what he was saying. And I go, I'm not clear what you're saying. I'm definitely a buyer. But he had 6 pictures. So I'm like, do you have 18 of these? Or do you have 3 of them? And when he PM'd me back right away, and I'm like, oh man, I just look like a fucking retard in front of everybody, like asking this stupid ass fucking... I get it, man. So I'm now the proud owner of fucking 2 little claws, 2 little crab claw arms.
You bought 2?
Because I have that little child's fucking wicker wheelchair upstairs.
Oh, you...
I'm gonna get a mannequin, and I'm gonna build a little mannequin with 2 little pincher arms and 2 little polio feet. I'm gonna put a gas mask on them.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, one day.
One day when the museum's done.
One day when we're able to do our home fucking genealogy.
When you're coming to SOE to go through the oddities museum.
No, one day when we're able to just grow a little half person.
Oh, a little half person.
I'll have the arms and shit for them. Like, I mean, the Russians are still, like, if I could just get one of their little Mongoloids that they were using.
You got to go to Chernobyl for that.
So, like, Pripyat, right? That's the
or
town.
Japan. I guess Japan's going to... A couple years, Japan's going to be putting out some pretty interesting...
Pripyat is the town right next to... it's where the woodpecker was and the amusement park and all that shit, right? You know that while it is off limits, there are over 1,000 people that never did leave there. They are still there today. When you go there, they have gardens. They're cooking food for you out of the garden. They are living a normal ass. They don't have fucking 3 arms. There's like nothing wrong with these fucking people there. Now they're children. I don't know about the children.
Very high rate of children
deformities. They have a whole museum. When you're heading there, you go through this big gate. There's like a border wall. When you go there, there's a museum of all kinds of crazy shit. They also have a room. It's weird. Every place something bad happens. In Chernobyl, there's a warehouse full of all the gas masks.
Oh yeah, all the gas masks, which don't do anything for radiation, guys. There's also a forest there, a forest where all the trees have turned red.
It's called the Red Forest.
Yeah.
And there's there's some ponds there that have some fucking catfish in them that are supposed to be over 1,000 pounds.
That's some serious dinosaur catfish the Russians brought back.
How do you send questions for the podcast? Brian Fraser.
Go to MeWe. Submit your questions to MeWe, and we'll get them from there. Don't do that.
John, have you checked into multi-fuel burner heat cycle, turbine power, and heat? That's too many fucking words, bro. Like, you already lost me. Separate shed type deals. Yeah, I do know exactly what you're talking about, man. I'm sure John has seen them. Used oil, tranny, gas, wood, coal, using a boiler side for heating. Pretty cheap, especially a steel shop situation, heated floors. So, ideally, if you're the best way to heat a steel building like this is to put your heating in the floor. Use radiant floor heating, but you have to do that ahead of time. Most people don't do it because when they're doing a steel building, they're doing a steel building because you get a much more bigger space for less money. So you have to do it from the beginning in the initial build. Usually dudes are in a hurry. We bought this building already done. To have a furnace or a firebox, that's going to be blowing forced heated air. Heat is not really a problem here. Like, would you, like...
No, I mean, no, I don't think so.
Like, and then another thing, let me touch on this too, like, because we're talking about, a dude asking about a generator and how much generator he needed and, for a 2,000 square foot home. When shit collapses and you're heating, you're not going to heat the house anymore. You're going to heat a room. And you're going to take your mattresses and you're going to put them in one room that you can contain and control, and your whole family is going to sleep in that room. Or in the worst depths of summer, you're going to have a AC unit, a freestanding AC unit, or a window unit, and you're all going to sleep in that room. And you're going to get up before the sun comes up, and you're going to do your outside farming labor. And at the height and heat of day, you're going to take a nap, and then when the sun goes down, you're going to do some more work. But that's why daylight savings time and shit for farming, that's why that all existed, because there was no electricity. So with that said, it doesn't take shit to heat here. Like, we have a 4,000 foot garage, 6,000 foot work bay. We could put a even those fucking 55 gallon drum oven stoves, the heater stoves, one over the other. You could easily heat this building with one of those, no problem at all. Horton has his dad built this stainless steel firebox. It's basically what the fuck am I thinking of? A stove. But it has holes, has tubes welded through it. And then on one side there's a fan. So he builds his fire, it heats the air in these tubes, and the fan blows through. And his building, I want to say Horton's building is 15,000 square. It's bigger than this building. And it's open bay, and I don't think it's insulated. But you go in there in the morning, Horton would meet me for breakfast, and he's like, yeah, I went over and I started a fire. I'm going to have to wait about an hour for it to warm up. But when you go over to Horton's, and that could be the coldest fucking day, when you go over to Horton's at noon, he's in there in a fucking t-shirt, and he's got the big doors open because it's too hot in there.
And remember those things that John just talked about? Those are nice to haves. Those aren't need to haves.
Yep.
You can live in fucking the Arctic Circle with no power, and you can live in the fucking Middle East with no air conditioning. Those are just nice to haves. They're not need to haves. So think about that when you're wasting your generator fuel to run an air conditioner to keep the room 65 degrees.
Not only that, power and niceties have allowed a lot of people to live right now that if the power went out, we all know people that would die in the first 30 days. We also know a lot of people that would be like, fuck it, I don't want to live like this. It's just will to survive.
Yeah. And then that means there's just going to be a whole bunch of stuff left for me to ravage there. That's really all I want to do is drive to New York City and go through zombie empty departments and look and see what kind of stuff they had in their cabinets.
We want to be scroungers.
Yeah, I would love to do that. That'd
like
be awesome.
That's like, you guys probably don't know. Like, I love going to antique stores and fucking flea markets and shit like that. It's the hunt for the treasure. It's not even the collection. I love chasing that thing. As soon as I have something crazy in my head, as soon as I have it, I'm like, oh, this is cool. On the shelf. Now it's right back out the door for the next one. And it's go, 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 go. It's the chase. It's not necessarily like, once I have it, I got a ton of cool shit, but I've already fucking seen it. Now I got to go fucking find the other cool thing.
I wonder if I could teach myself how to fly a helicopter. I'm just wondering, if you, end of the world, everybody's gone, and it's
maybe
just
we
you. Could you teach yourself? I guess there's got to be some YouTube videos, but I'm just saying,
off's not the problem.
Could you just figure out?
Well, we saw there's all that black and white footage when they were learning to fly.
Yeah,
they had them all
that's what I'm
tethered. Yeah, I would start with a 10-foot rope.
That's what I'm saying, man. Orville and Will were right. They didn't know how to fly a fucking plane.
It's not long ago, dude. It's not long ago you were fucking landing planes in cornfields. Now we have all these regulations and shit. They would literally bring a fighter jet out if you took a plane out. God and Jesus are different things. Because you believe in God doesn't make you a Christian. We know.
Well, we know.
We know. We know.
Whatever you got to do to be good, that's all that matters.
The Cholo Dickies is a no-go. Dickies jeans ride out with the EDC belt, but I grew up no Dickies now and rock better pants and shorts. Much love and respect, Skully for president.
Oh, shit, I can't be president. Sorry, guys.
Zach Apple 15. Oh no, Zach Apple 15 hours ago. Podcast is full of great information. Thank you for the entertainment during my work day. I will use the Amazon link and order some more SOE gear. Thank you, man. You can't order SOE gear on Amazon.
Because I'll tell you right now, if I was president, this is why I can't be president. Because when you come to a point where Nancy Pelosi is sitting behind me rolling her eyes, I would be like, have them killed. Have them killed. I would probably call Hillary and be like, hey, Hillary, who's that guy you use? I mean, he is fucking spot on the point. I need Nancy Pelosi to accidentally shoot herself in the head 4 times. In the back of her head.
Off with her head, publicly. Off with their heads. The crazy shit is we'll probably get a visit. Somebody.
Oh, come on. I don't really mean it. I can't affect Nancy Pelosi's life. Plus, I don't even know if she would be the first one.
Happy Valentine's Day, Amanda and SOE family. I listen on iTunes and then listen on YouTube just to like the videos, laugh out loud, ordered a multicam large tool bag yesterday. I literally got the shipping notification the same day, and then today got the notification for my small Valentine's Day order from last week. I ordered stuff that has taken 2 months and never bitched. I'll never understand people's complaints about the shipping. So, on that note, thank you, John and Skully and the rest of the SOE family. Minifitsu, which means made in the motherfucking USA for you guys that don't know. Special Operations Equipment, customer for life. Thank you, dude. The people complaining, people are not accustomed to how we have done business the last, 15, 20 years. We are out there a lot more. You're seeing a lot of people on the live feeds that you don't know. It's new people coming into the family, new people coming into the groups. They're just not accustomed to it. 80% of what we're building is still shipping same or next day. So you'll get a dude that'll order 2 or 3 orders and it'll ship same or next day. And then he'll order something. He'll be comfortable ordering. He'll order and be like, what the fuck? Why is this taking 2 months? It happens still. Not like it used to. We were up front. We told everybody that. We would love to fucking, but the reality is some of those items will never get built if you guys don't pre-order them. But 80% of what we have is fucking inventory controlled. It's, if you can order it, we have it.
And a lot of those guys too, the thing that Bezos has fucking done to destroy commerce is it's instantaneous. Everything that you have is instantaneous. So a lot of those guys will complain. They will place an order. And then, for whatever reason, they will look at the order thing after they've placed the order and they go, 6 to 8 weeks? What the fuck?
It's
and
actually
then
8 to 12.
Or 8 to 12 weeks, sorry. And then they'll fucking send John a message and they'll be like, this is unheard of. I can't wait 8 weeks for a shotgun card. And blah, blah. And John will come out and he'll be like, have you got this order yet? I'm going to be like, yeah, it's on the shelf. It's going to ship right now. And he'll be like, motherfuckers.
We had a dude call the these guys don't realize, it's funny, we had a dude call the red phone the other day. The number is eat a dick. It legitimately is eat a dick. That's the number. So dude calls, asking about a fucking shotgun card, wants to measure, hey, how long is the 5 and how long is the 6 round? I go, why? He goes, because I'm putting them on an 870 and I'm left-handed. I go, they still have to go on the left side of your gun, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. They have to go there because the round ejects out the right side. It has to go on the left side. I go, both will fit. Yeah, but I'm worried about them hitting my thumb. Last I checked, that fucking card's up here on the side of the receiver, and your fucking thumb is down here around the fucking around the grip.
Maybe he's got a thing. Maybe he's C-clamping the shotgun.
So I humor him.
You C-clamp the shotgun, your thumb could be in the way, John.
Maybe. So I measure them, give them the, and I told him, I go, literally they're the size that if you take 5 shells and put them side by side, that's how long they are. But I went and got a ruler and measured them, told him, I'm like, you know this phone you just called is Eat a Dick. He's like, what? I go, yeah, 866 Eat a Dick. That's the phone number you just called. Oh, I know now. I go, how'd you get this number? He goes, my friend gave it to me. His friend was fucking with him is what it was. Yeah. But what Jeff's talking about right now is we had a dude ordered some Epigrow this morning. Called the phone.
I forgot about the Epigrow. It's usually a shotgun. For whatever reason, the craziest product we have, the most insane product we have when it comes to customers, the people that just want to fucking get in there and be like, I just ordered this 15 minutes ago. Why is it not here? Fuck you. It's always shotgun card guys. I don't understand why people that have shotguns are so fucking insane.
Remember too, while we're talking shit about these dudes, a lot of you guys know about us because of these dudes being irate and talking shit. They have been literally one of the best things that grew our business in the last decade. This morning, I walk in and the red phone's ringing. I don't ever answer it. We never answer it. Like, don't even bother calling it.
Well, I answer it sometimes. So
this dude's calling. I get a transcription through email, so I know what he wants. He tells me, he doesn't tell me shit. He tells me his first name, not his last name, doesn't give me an order number, doesn't give me shit, tells me he placed an order and wants to know why it's going to take 8 to 12 weeks. Well, he called back. He never did send a fucking email. Called back 2 more times, so I now know what the fuck he wants. By the time we print this shit out and look at it, it's already on the shelf. So his order's already shipped. He already has a fucking tracking number. He then emails fucking hours after the fact that demands to cancel his order. Fuck you. We're not canceling your order. Your order's already processed shipping. Your shit's gonna ship. I don't understand how these motherfuckers get through life. Like, imagine how fucked up this day is. For a period of 5 hours, 4 hours, he has sent 2 emails and called 3 fucking times and left 3 messages.
Imagine when we keep talking about the power going out. Imagine what kind of calamity. Just think of what kind of calamity would be in the United States if Jeff Bezos tomorrow was like, I'm shutting Amazon down.
Yeah.
I'm done with Amazon. I'm going to go do something else. Make rockets with Elon or something. God damn, people would commit. We'd have a mass kill off in this country. I can't get my thing in 12 hours.
I've been binging the podcast on Stitcher at work the last week.
Stitcher?
Yeah,
that's what the podcast is on.
Thanks for the entertainment reminder that it's up to me and only me to sack up. I live in St. Louis and need to get down to Camden to train and visit SOE. Is that cool, John? If that's cool. Yeah.
Of course. Come
on,
guys.
Down. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, you are welcome to come here. Don't come here Friday at fucking 5 o'clock because all our people are leaving. Like, that's the one day. There are dudes here working till 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night almost every fucking night. I've got a dude working right now that I literally, almost every night at 7, I'm like, all right, man, go ahead and shut it down. I forgot he was here, went upstairs, did some shit, came down at 10 o'clock, and he was still here working. We have dudes that would literally work fucking 12, 14, 15, 16. Well, we do have dudes working 12 hours a day. Yeah. But he would be here. This dude would work fucking 18 hours a day. If I would let him, he would just fucking sleep in the corner of the building. But on Friday, I make them go home. Like, I kick them out and they go do things. So that's the deal. But yeah, for sure, man. Come here and train. St. Louis, I plan to run up to St. Louis. I don't know. Maybe in the next few weeks I want to go up there and... I'm going places I've never been. I've never been to Knoxville. I went to Knoxville last weekend.
We drive through Knoxville all the time.
No, we don't.
We don't?
No, that's what I thought too.
It's just because I go to.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, we're gonna hit Chattanooga and then we're gonna go to Knoxville. Nope, completely different directions.
Completely different directions. So you went to Knoxville.
I went to Knoxville.
What'd you think?
It's cool. there's a couple cool spots.
I see, like, when you... Cause
you know what I do, though? Like, so when I go to Nashville, I stop at Nama's because their service is awesome. They're like, hey, thanks for putting photos on Google for us, and here's this thing we made that's not on the menu. Like, the service is fucking great. I love the food. I love the people. So we eat at Nama's. So on the way out of town Friday night, we stop at Nama's in Nashville and eat. We go to Knoxville. And what's in Knoxville? A Nama's. So Amanda's like, I'm hungry. I'm like, where do you want to eat? I don't know any of these places. She's like, let's eat at Nama's. We know Nama's. So we eat at Nama's. On the way home Sunday night,
you eat at Nama's again.
We eat at Nama's again. So I'm kind of a creature of habit. I'd be easy to catch if you were after me.
Every time I go through, so I guess it would just be the times that I went to Quantico, but when I go through Knoxville...
Because I totally wanted to stop at Smoky Mountain Knife Works.
Did you really? Again? Yeah.
We didn't because we didn't go through fucking. Cause
it's not the. Is it not the same way?
Because they have an antique like war artifacts and shit in there. They have a huge section of super cool like primitive weapon. I'm looking for a whale harpoon, but I don't want like a bullshit.
You want a real?
I want a real fucking Moby the Dick whale harpoon.
I always, whenever I go on a trip anywhere, I'm always looking for places like, oh, it'd be really neat to go inside there, like run down buildings or fucking caves on the side of the road and shit.
I can't do that with Amanda.
Yeah, no,
like if it was me, you, and the boys, we would be doing a lot more.
I'm always looking for that. And Knoxville, when you're on the 40 and you're going through Knoxville, there's some brick, close to the freeway, there's some brick buildings that every time I go through, I go, man, that would be awesome to go in those buildings. And you never, I've been doing this for fucking 40 years now, where I'm driving across country and I'm on a timeline and I'm like, oh man, it'd be really great to stop there. And never have I taken the opportunity to just be like, I'm going to get in the car and I'm just going to drive for a couple days, and when I see something I want to go check out, I'm going to go check out. I've never done that. The
time to do that is not with your woman.
Yeah.
And not with a $3,000 fucking handbag, and not with a fucking $100,000 Porsche. You want to take a truck and some boys and some dudes that have some fucking guns. Unfortunately,
one of the few times I've been able to do that is last Blade show. We're just driving back from the show, and through the trees in the background, I saw this building, and I'm like,
the Expo, Overland Expo.
Overland Expo. I go, that looks like a fucking abandoned school. And so we get back, and we've been at a show all day. It's time. We got to schedule fucking time for dinner and getting everybody ready. Blah blah blah. And John's flying the drone a little bit, and he's like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm like, "I saw an abandoned school. I think it's an abandoned school." And John's like, "Let's go." And I'm like, "Right now?
Don't tell anyone."
What time? He goes, "Right now? Aren't we going to dinner?" I go, "It's only 4:00. He's like, "We got time. Let's go." And so we literally just snuck off and left to go check out this thing. And as we're getting there, I'm like, as we get closer to it, in my head, I'm seeing this thing, and I got lost on the way there too. And in my head, I'm seeing it. I'm like, oh shit, it's not going to be what I thought it was. It's not going to be, but it was even better when I thought it was.
The roof was collapsed.
There's
the fucking basement is caved in.
There's a video of me and John sneaking through there somewhere.
Podcast, get your St. So I want to head up to St. Louis and just fucking fly the drone around some of the landmarks and antique shops is really where I go. But I'm like, if you look up antique stores, there's always 20 antique stores always right next to each other, but most of them are more like thrift stores. I'm looking for the big fucking like real historic pieces, architectural shit, real gargoyles, not like some bullshit fucking concrete shit, like real off of a building gargoyles and shit like that. I'm also willing to take on work for you and Skully or whomever needed work that they will know for a fact was done right. These contractors nowadays are killing guys like myself. It's horseshit. There's another one. This is probably... I also don't enjoy attending church anymore because every week it's money for this, money for that. Laugh out loud. Also, Preacher Man is living fat, and it pissed me off enough to stop going. Anyways, you two fucking rock. Dude, I'm not saying don't go to church. Try some different churches. Like, you will find one where you fit. Some of them want to have to dress up and button the top button and wear a tie and, put on some shit that's really not them. And then there's other churches that are like fucking rock and roll churches. You go in and there's a fucking heavy metal band and dudes are wearing flip-flops and then fucking have surfboards on their car. Like, I'm not saying don't go to church. I'm saying just know why you're going to, whatever it is you're involved in, whatever you need to make your life whole, and fucking just a lot of it's accountability.
Try and separate the institution from the belief. Okay, so like I would tell people this all the time when I was in the Marine Corps. It'd come time, the hater of fucking the hater of all things, I had the highest re-enlistments out of anybody in 1-7 or my platoon, people who were re-enlisting. And the reason why is because this is what I try and tell everybody. Because when somebody says, I fucking hate the Marine Corps, I'm getting out of the Marine Corps, I fucking hate the Marine Corps. You have to separate the people from the institution. Like, the institution of the United States Marine Corps is the greatest institution on the face of the planet. The idea of the Marine Corps is the greatest thing on the planet. Born in a tavern, I mean, come on, it's the institution. If you look at the institution, you're like, why wouldn't you want to be a Marine? There's no other service that has such traditions like the Marine Corps. So why wouldn't you be a Marine? And I have to point out, why is it that you don't like the Marine Corps? And he'll be like, Captain so-and-so did this, or Lieutenant so-and-so, or Sergeant. And I said, those are people. They're just people. That is not the Marine Corps. That is not the Marine Corps. It's the same thing with faith. Keep your faith, man. Keep it. If faith can do a lot of things. Keep your faith.
Those guys that met in that tavern that night, weren't they in fact breaking a law by doing that?
I think they were breaking the law.
Your founding fathers were all breaking.
Oh yeah, your founding fathers were all fucking criminals.
All this shit we're talking about.
Several of them died during the war. Great institutions. Think about the institution. The Constitution of the United States. This is a fact. I don't care what your hippie liberal friends say. The Constitution of the United States of America is the greatest document that has ever been written by man concerning governing men and women. I'm just saying. It's the greatest document. It's the perversion of that document by individuals that is the problem. It's not the document. I don't need to change the document. That's kind of what, when you think about the Supreme Court Court's only job is to uphold the Constitution. Not any time, anywhere in the Constitution does it say, well, we get to interpret the Constitution. That's bullshit. That's men trying to twist their will on something that is already founded in blood. That's a people problem. Same thing with if you have a problem with your church because the reverend's driving a Cadillac while all his people are living on food stamps, that's a problem. It's not a faith problem. It's a person problem. That person right there has lost his way. It's the same thing with the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church has just lost its way. The values that they uphold and the things that they preach, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with believing in a fucking mystery Scooby-Doo man as long as the values that it's holding are good for everyone. But anyways, think about the institution and think about what it is about faith that you're with, and then join the Marine Corps, because the Marine Corps is the best cult of them all. I would go back if they'd let me. Old, tired.
I think it's important to point out that I don't know.
You don't know what? Come on,
I think it's important to point out that fucking those dudes were committing a crime when they formed the Marine Corps. Your founding fathers were committing a crime.
Yeah, serious crime.
When they put this country together and wrote that document.
At
some point, they're going to say that we are all committing a crime in doing what hopefully we never have to do in the future.
Yeah, when your founding fathers put pen to paper, they were committing treason, which was executable by death.
Let's hope we don't have to demonstrate it. Nancy Pelosi warns GOP Democrat president. We are the same dude.
Yeah, I think it becomes a constitutional issue, and then they're going to have to. The Supreme Court's going to shut them down.
The other dude also said, "Thanks for everything, guys. I instill so much faith in you and Skully because it's tangible. Also, I've been to the mission in Nashville and helped several times, and it is and was life-changing experience. I think it's important for you to show your kids the other side of the tracks. I know that a lot of you don't want your kids to see that. Like, there's a lot of kids here in these towns, right here in these small towns. Like, it's why we have such a hard time finding labor. Our industrial sewing labor typically is going to be 50, 60, 70 years old. A lot of them, unfortunately, have died. The labor 20 years ago went to Mexico, so these factories shut down. So your up-and-coming kids, your kids coming out of school right now, the ones that don't know anything different, they've never been out of this town. They don't want anything more, so they don't have anything to strive for. They don't have a drive or a motivation, so they don't want to work. They want to do the bare minimum. We have bare minimum sitting out here, a couple of them. It's a fucking trip. I can only work 30 hours, because I got to go home because I don't have a babysitter. But then you see the bitch out in town
without her kids.
Without a fucking kids. So we have some bare minimum. We have some fucking great people too, but we do have some bare minimum. And I think it's important to show your kids the other side. Like if your kids eat every night and have electricity every night, you should take them someplace and let them feed some fucking homeless and let them see. It'll instill something in them that they don't want to be there. It might instill adventure. I mean, that maybe that's what you're worried about. That they're going to want to jump on a train and live like a hobo for a little while. Some Huck Finn type shit. I don't know.
Breeds personality.
Great points regarding charity. Help yourself, then your family. Blood makes you related. Loyalty makes you family. Then your neighbors, your community, etc. It would make the world a much better place.
Sure would. I mean, it's just about reaching as far as you can reach, right? If you can touch your neighbors, and then your neighbors can touch the block, and then the block can touch the town, you can make a great place. But that's not what they want. Like right now,
fuck no, it's not
think
what
about
they want.
Think about the last time you had an interaction with your neighbors. They want everybody to be in their little cells on their phones, ordering stuff through the mail. Nobody goes outside. Nobody talks to each other. You know why? It's much easier to decide tomorrow, you know what? Everybody with brown eyes, we're culling the herd. We're taking all the brown-eyed people out. And you won't even know they're gone from your neighborhood. You'll just be on your phone looking at what CNNBC says, and then CNNBC is going to be like, if you have brown eyes, you have less chance of living this year. And you'll be like, oh my God, fuck, I'm glad I don't have brown eyes. It's just, that's what they want. They need you to be separated from your communities. As long as we're separated from our communities, then they can fleece us. They can fleece us all they want. Those people are fucking millionaires. They don't give two shits.
You know what the bullet
about
train?
About who you are or where you live.
You know what the bullet train, right? San Diego to San Francisco. It just runs straight there and back. Everything else between there is no man's land. They weren't stopping and going anywhere. That shit is just like the movie and the books, the Hunger Games. That's what that was. The Hunger Games.
Yeah,
everything in between was in zones, and you weren't allowed to cross the zones.
Yeah.
And they had coal mining, and they had wood harvesting, and then you had the elite, and that's what that shit was. Well, that's just a kid's story. If you look at the similarities between it, whoever wrote that book definitely read some of that Agenda 21 shit, or Agenda 51, or whatever it's called now. But that's exactly what that shit was. And that's the same thing. They want you occupied. They have that babysitter, and it's that phone. It used to be the television.
And with a project that
look
big,
up Operation Woodpecker. Like check that out.
Oh yeah, Operation Woodpecker.
It was advertising, false advertising by the CIA. They got busted. They admitted to it.
And here's something that most people don't know, especially think about this the next time you're watching Fox News, CNN News, or MSNBC News. President Obama, so in 1938, I believe it was, or 37, we passed a law in the United States. The law was you cannot use propaganda within the confines of the United States. So you can't use propaganda in order to sway how people will think or vote. Okay? And we signed that law into passage. Boom, no more propaganda. President Obama got rid of that law. President Obama got rid of that law. As a legislator, as a president of the United States, why would you get rid of that law? You would get rid of that law so multimedia corporations can now spew fucking massive propaganda things at you to get you to vote the way they want you to vote, or to think the way they want you to think. It's no matter where you're at in the fucking game, they're all sponsored by billionaires. And so they want you to think the way they want you to think. So they can keep doing what they're doing. I mean, fuck. The train from San Francisco to Los Angeles. I want you to ask yourself, why didn't they start building it in San Francisco? Why didn't they start building it in San Diego? Why is the only section of that train that is usable in the middle of fucking nowhere? Between Bakersfield and Merced, California. Two places no one goes to for vacation. Why is that the only place where the train exists? Why didn't they start in San Francisco? If it's going from San Diego to San Francisco, why didn't it start there?
What's the answer?
The answer is because that land was the easiest land to steal.
To steal, that's exactly what it was.
That land was the easiest land to steal. It's really hard to be in downtown San Francisco and do eminent domain when the property values, because of all those fucking .com dildos, have gone through the fucking roof.
And that's what they said. They said that the eminent domain, they're going to put all the money in. They're going to spend 90% of the money and go, well, you have to give it to us.
Yeah, if we've already built, so think about it. If I've already built, well, let's say I spend, I don't know how much they've spent just on that section of track, but if you've already spent that much money and you're kind of almost done, it's going to be real hard for somebody to go, fuck you, you can't have my house.
Especially if there's multi-million-dollar homes.
Then they'll just declare eminent domain because the train was already made.
It's easier to do it to farmers.
Yeah.
So, and with the propaganda in the news, look at how many videos are out there. There's fucking thousands if you haven't looked. How many videos are out there of news companies? And if you're watching us, I would assume most of you probably watch Fox and not CNN. But there's footage out there of Fox and CNN, hundreds of them,
saying the same stuff.
Hundreds of companies saying the exact same thing. Who the fuck wrote it for all of them?
Here's another one that's pretty interesting. Look at your market shares. So NPR. When you think about NPR is a pretty liberal. It's a pretty liberal organization. But NPR programming will change based off of the consumer in that area. So if it's a Republican-leaning area, NPR will do Republican stories. If it's a liberal area, the NPR will do liberal stories in those areas. All they're doing is propaganda. It's no different than any other time in history. They're just trying to get you to think the way they want you to think.
Medication, laudanum, is a tincture of opium containing approximately 10% powdered opium by weight, reddish brown, and extremely bitter. Laudanum contains almost all of the opium alkaloids, including morphine and codeine. Wikipedia.
Yeah, you used to be able to get that.
Used to be able to buy it over the counter.
Here you go. Here's some laudanum. I need some more laudanum.
I had a botched.
I think you would go in the cowboy days. I think they would even you would just go to the
opium den.
No, I don't even think you had to do that.
General
I think
store.
General store you would get opium from.
There's some super cool shit from those general stores that's out there for sale. I had a botched hernia surgery, and the pain was so bad I kind of wanted to die. The doctor gave me Dilaudid, hydromorphine, and within a few seconds the pain was gone and I was holding on to the bed to prevent falling off the earth. I'll never understand how anyone enjoys opiates.
They just the federal government, the FDA, just approved a drug that is 100. I mean, I want you to think about this. 100 times more potent than fentanyl. How do you approve a drug that is 100 times? Who's using that? Who got? You would literally have to get chewed up by a grizzly bear and shat out the other side to need that kind of painkiller. Who's getting those painkillers? But yet the government's approving it. The government approved all the painkillers that are killing more people in the United States in car accidents. Can you believe that?
There was
more people.
There's video of lines literally around the block for doctors that were giving those pills out.
The government approved the FDA approved all that. The company, the same fucking pharmaceutical company that killed hundreds of thousands of Americans, is the same pharmaceutical company that now has the pill that everybody addicted to painkillers can take. And the government approved that. It's just billionaires creating billionaires creating billionaires.
It
I know, and I'm not saying don't take pain medication if you are seriously injured and you feel like you need pain medication, but I'm also telling you that you might want to push through some of that. You might want to try and push through as much as you can before you start taking that shit. Because
I know it sounds crazy. I say it all the time. If you guys haven't read that Agenda 21, just put in a fucking video and watch that shit. It literally is the modern day eugenics. If to be elite, you have to have a vast separation between you and everybody under you. It's the king on the hill in the castle. All these people down in the valley growing all the grains and shit, those grains weren't for the king. It was to feed them and keep them appeased. The king owned the forest, and his hunters would go harvest the meat. It's the same shit going on now. The Saudis didn't bring down the towers. It was Americans and the Israelis. I actually watched all that.
It's the damn Saudis.
And the Israelis used a newer version of a nuclear weapon. I saw all that.
So the Israelis had nothing to do with it.
I think Nick posted that Struggle Snuggle Buddy post to Facebook accidentally. It was meant for Craigslist men seeking men. I would agree 1,000%.
100%. Yes.
100%. Where do you post those now that section is no longer on Craigslist?
Is there because you can't? There's nothing. There's
nothing like that.
They closed the back page. They closed Craigslist.
That's why we had to start the SOE back page.
I know a Strider employee. He would know exactly where to find that. I think there's 3 possibilities there.
Sorry, guys. They train the native people to construct with nothing and filter with ashes, but it took money. Sorry, I missed the point of the Bitcoin part. I'm not sure what he's talking about.
Oh.
I don't believe in helping outside the USA whatsoever. I took what Skully said wrong, but yes, sir. We, me, and my children and family try our best. I just took it incorrectly about Justin Wren, and I actually explained to people why I don't donate to World Savers. Please keep up the videos. Thanks to all the guests. It's raining.
Is it?
Yeah, it's ice. It's going to be sleet.
I almost feel like I hear some scurrying.
No, it's fucking sleet hitting that drip line. Thanks to all the guest employees, Justin Swinney, and people that don't get to see benefits. Brian Fraser, I got your email. I printed it out. I forgot to bring it in here. No ill.
Yeah,
no worry.
None of that. Don't apologize to me, Brian. None of that. When I'm talking to this camera, I'm talking to the camera. I'm not talking to you specifically. And you know what? I can say shit. You have to understand. When we come in here to do this, it's not like. Because I watch him, it's not like Joe Rogan. There's not a monitor in here. There's not somebody in the back that's typing up the answer to all these questions. There's nobody in my ear right now that's going, "Hey man, it was 1832, not 1969." All of this stuff is 100% off the cuff. And I may have thrown those guys under the bus a little bit about filtering water in the Congo, but my point ultimately is there is plenty of stuff to do here in the United States. Plenty of stuff to do here in the United States that we're not doing. Flint, Michigan still does not have clean water. What are you doing, Elon? You said you were going to give them clean water. Even though it's not Elon's responsibility, they have a whole government in Flint, Michigan. Every single one of those people should be fired. The National Guard should go over there and start running that city until the fucking Corps of Engineers cleans all the water in Flint, Michigan. Boom, problem solved. Good thing I'm not president.
Like you said, we usually haven't, I haven't even read these. I'm a terrible reader, as you guys can see.
I'm glad you're reading it.
We haven't read this shit usually at all before we walk through this door. Please donate to St. Jude. I believe that's probably a real
St. Jude and what's ours here?
The cancer children.
Ours is, what's the hospital though?
We have a St. Jude here.
No, but what's the big hospital here? It's not St. Jude.
St. Thomas?
No, it's the
St. Thomas Heart Hospital. No, St. Jude. The fucking elite family.
It's a dude's name. Yeah. It's a dude's name.
Vanderbilt's.
Vanderbilt's. Every time I go I buy my sodas up here at Casey's. They're like, you want to donate your change to the starving children in Tennessee? And it's like, oh god, okay, of course you can have my change.
It's optional to donate to CFC. I personally just put my name on it and write void across the front.
Yeah, they say it, you know, it's one of those things. CFC, they'll be like, it's optional. You can do this. But in the Marine Corps, there's no such thing as optional. It's whenever it's voluntary, it's voluntold, and you're going to make a donation, even if it's only $10 or $5. I think the minimum is $5. But you always did that. You know why you did it? Because the motherfuckers that didn't do it, the motherfuckers who put void on their shit, sure as shit, the next fucking duty roster, their name would be on there like 10 times. He'd be like, oh shit, I ain't fucking around with First Sergeant no more. I'm going to give him my $5.
Just look at the money we send now to all these countries. Now there is more in this bullshit bill that won't fund a border wall. When does a wall not work? Never. A wall always works. A drone, a sensor, a camera is in and after the offense solution. Your Democrats need to realize that Schumer and Pelosi are outright lying to you that this is not a national emergency.
A wall doesn't work if they bring a trebuchet.
We have a trebuchet.
Yeah, if they have a trebuchet, then the wall becomes useless. But yeah, point taken. The wall, you know, come on, man. The Democrats have voted for a wall since we've had a fucking border. Look at San Diego. San Diego has I want to say San Diego, or that portion of California, has the biggest portion of wall that has been built, and they love it. Of course it works. It's why the cartel has to fly in Palestinians from the other side of the world to dig tunnels, because the wall fucking works. Your drones and all that shit, it don't work. I mean, it's a... When they say technology, what they're saying is, hey, my cousin has this fucking company that builds fucking foot sensors that don't work in the desert, but let's give them $20 million because I'm going to get a kickback from that fucking contract, and we will never see that technology out on the border.
That's how Pelosi's bank account is so big.
Yeah, fuck, man.
Skully, just curious, since you had insight into the DoD exercise in and around SoCal, did your platoon or Marines that were in recon or sniper companies, you know where this is going, were attached to joint task force missions along the borders or Camp JTC? Actually, that was JTF 6.
So much fun. Those fucking ops were so much fun. Yes, I spent time on the Strand,
Cuyamaca State Forest.
Yeah, on the Strand, Cuyamaca State Forest, and I spent time. It was 29 Palms. We were supposed to be watching the Joshua. We were supposed to be in the Joshua Tree Monument area, but we were actually looking at some places closer to Palm Springs. But yeah, I did a bunch of those ops, and I know you're like, that's kind of covert, but once again, we were looking for specific things, and so like when the Mexicans would come across the border and walk right past us, we'd just be like. Initially, we told the immigration guys. Initially, we told the Border Patrol guys, and the Border Patrol guys would be like, what did they have? They had fucking sack lunches and a ditty bag, and then they'd be like, doesn't matter. Because the Border Patrol guys, what you don't know, is they're just looking for drugs. They don't give two shit. Well, I don't want to say they don't. I'm generalizing because there's good people in the Border Patrol, but really, they want the photo op. Remember, everything in government is about the photo op. It looks a hell of a lot better if I have marijuana stacked up in front of three agents or whatever it is, than it does if they're standing around a bunch of illegal aliens that are going up to up north to fucking pick flowers because we can't get any white people to pick flowers.
Or work in your restaurants.
Or work in your restaurants.
When the Border Patrol comes in,
it
used to be when the Border Patrol would come in and do inspections, they had to give 24-hour notice to the restaurants and the farms. Why do you think that is? Because it would shut those restaurants and farms down. Because white folks won't go fucking do the job.
If you were serious, if you were serious about immigration, if the government was actually serious about immigration, they know where all these people are. Like, they know which corporations, they know which companies and corporations are using migrant workers that are here illegally to produce their crops. They know where they're at.
I don't like the state of California. It sucks as a whole. But I live in Cowtown of Merced. We used to drive through there.
Yeah.
Where the sheriff respects the Second Amendment. We don't abide by all his libtard state bullshit, and he issues CCWs to every law-abiding gun owner that wants one from from one shithole town to another. Yes, and if you went to LA, they would fucking arrest you with it.
Yeah. Even though it's a state issued CCW, they are arresting people who have CCWs from other counties.
Thanks for bringing up the problem of the USS Texas. I no longer live in Texas, but I have fond memories of visiting the historic battleship. I got to spend a day on the Midway this year in San Diego on the way to TJ. It was amazing. It was amazing. Pictures will never do the same as in person. 100%.
Yeah.
I eat at the fish house right there, the fish market right there, literally in the parking lot of the carrier, and then we go to Seaport Village over there.
And when you get on the aircraft carrier Midway, it's a museum that you can go and look at. And
what you need is the off tour tour.
Look, when you're on the aircraft carrier, look across the bay. The real aircraft carriers, there's usually always one or two in port. The real aircraft carriers are over there. The Midway, it's a real aircraft carrier, but the Midway, dinky. It's like a tugboat compared to what we're cruising the fucking Pacific Ocean with now.
AR pistols are not registered as pistols. I don't think the feds know what you're buying on a 4473. If I buy an AR lower, no one knows what I'm going to make with it. I say, forget the SBR and build a pistol. If the ATF changes their mind again, then deal with it as you see fit. I can also officially transport a pistol across state lines as opposed to an SBR you paid $200 and 9 months later for.
You can't. It depends on what state line you're crossing. You cannot take an SBR pistol, an AR-15 SBR pistol in the state of California. You will be breaking California law, and you will be arrested, and you will go to jail, and they won't give a shit about where you bought that. The other thing about AR pistols is they are registered with the federal government. I mean, I don't know what state you're in, so maybe you got some crazy shit, but even here in Tennessee, I go and buy an AR pistol, or I go buy a lower here in Tennessee, they specifically ask you, is this for a pistol, or is this for a rifle? If you say rifle, then they don't do extra paperwork. If you say it's for a pistol, then they do extra paperwork. So, I mean, just be careful about what you think is not registered and what is registered. And the other thing, too, is even that knowledge, I can take an SBR pistol across state lines. You can't go into New York with it. You can't go into California with it. And I'm sure there's probably 10 other states where you taking that AR pistol into another state
You'll
is
never
illegal.
leave if you get caught.
Yeah, it's just like it's also like the shockwave shotguns. You can go and buy them. They have them in stores all over the place. But there are some states where that shotgun is illegal, and I'm sure California is definitely one of them.
The feedbag houses were in Somalia. You called them something else. Good times in the 10th mountain. Right on, Greg?
The feedbag houses.
Yeah.
The feedbag.
Somalia.
Were you in 10th Mountain, Greg?
Yeah, that's what he
Fucking
said.
10th Mountain. Man, you had some...
got it done.
You had some pretty girls in 10th Mountain. You know, they all... You probably don't know this, but they all came up on top of the embassy. They all came on top of the embassy because they wanted to see the sniper position.
Exactly, John. Us as Americans need to worry about our own before we dig holes in Africa. There's plenty of people here that need help. Yes. Now, with that said, I have an issue with just fucking handing out and helping people too. Yes, there are real people that need real help, but the majority, I don't know if it's let's say at least half of the fucking people that are on assistance, you all know it's higher than that. They should have to goddamn work. You want a fucking check? You want some assistance? Show up in this fucking line, and you're gonna clean up trash. You're gonna fucking paint fucking over graffiti. You're going to fucking mow. You're gonna do all those fucking jobs that fucking people used to go out and do for what? Money. You want fucking money? You want fucking aid? You want assistance? Show the fuck up then. Show up at these daycare facilities. You're going to watch these fucking kids while these other fucking mothers go out and do some fucking work. There is work everywhere to do. Everywhere there's fucking work. You want some money? Earn the fucking money. I preach that all the time. We need to help the people here first before we go and spend the money on people who either don't appreciate it or won't ever really use it. And the guys you were thinking of in Texas is Joel Osteen. And being a Christian myself, I don't wave it in everyone's face. A good person is a good person regardless of what you believe. I agree.
I agree. Yeah, Joel Osteen, that motherfucker.
Missouri is at Pearl Harbor. Didn't mention the name in my first mahalo.
The Missouri.
Hey John, in the last video you mentioned that you're looking for old medicine bottles that used to have opium in it. I have one from late 1800s that's with the label still on it in excellent condition. It has some sentimental value for me because I found it when I was a kid, but what would you possibly trade for? Dude, keep it, man. If it has sentimental value, I am not looking for something with sentimental value from somebody. There's tons of that shit out there. Keep it, enjoy it, tell the story to one of your kids or your little brother or somebody, and keep that shit in your family, man. Skully, the New Jersey is actually in Camden, New Jersey. Years ago, I worked for a plumber.
New Jersey. Oh, it is the no.
We took the work day off to go on his boat in the Delaware River to watch them bring the New Jersey up the river. They docked it at Philly temporarily until its real spot in Camden was ready. We listened to the tugboats on the radio as they did the positioning. It was very interesting. The boss taught me more about life and fixing things than anyone I've ever met. He knew how to make boys into men. Love the podcast. Been meaning to reach back a couple topics on nuclear facilities. In Dawsonville, Georgia, there is an abandoned nuclear facility from the Cold War. I'd love to go see that.
I'd love to see that.
Georgia Nuclear Air Facility. Supposed purpose was to experiment with the possibility of nuclear aircraft. Eventually, Lockheed wanted to put on an Atlanta Airport Part B. There was deemed a dumb idea because it's in the foothills of the mountains, not all that far from the Ranger School facility. It was underground, but several above-ground structures are just still sitting there, including the pump house where the water was returned right to the Etowah River. The main area is, of course, under the natural water table and flooded, but there are urban exploration photos of people rafting the first floor underground. There are still fenced areas where Geiger counters to this day.
And you're right. I was wrong. It's the Missouri. I don't know why I thought the New Jersey was where they signed the surrender on, but it's the Missouri. Missouri's in Hawaii.
And then another dude says, "Sorry, Skully, it's in Hawaii. I can see it from my house, moored aft of the Arizona Memorial."
Yeah, you're definitely right.
The people who leave California don't realize that they are the reason California is a shithole. Not all of them. Not all of them. Put it this way: from California, people from California are like the plague carriers that don't realize they are sick. A Mexican, a Colorado. Oh, he just goes on. This is a joke he's telling. Edwo, wake up, people of Colorado. You need to do more, better, because from a distance, California and Colorado are looking and sounding the same. Under that, I'm from California. Jeff's from California. We came out here and want to keep Tennessee how Tennessee is. We actually want Tennessee how Tennessee was. There are a lot of fucking people coming here trying to turn Tennessee into California.
All you have to do is control the major cities.
Hammer, we've tried, but it's apparently against the law to shoot Californians, even though it's only shooting vermin. I agree. There should be controlled seasons.
If you shoot at me, you better hit me.
Controlled seasons, regulations, guidelines to be sure that only the leftist variety is targeted. Would not want to impact the endangered and vanishing variety, the silent conservative. Ordered my wife a Tiffany blue toiletry bag this Valentine's Day sale. It will be here tomorrow. Thanks for the quick turnaround. We are one election away from losing this country. This socialist bullshit is real. Please vote. Got my wife one. She loves it. Unless you're promoting a business like John, Facebook fucking sucks. It's a good way for the government to keep track of your sheeple. It is. It's also a good way for us to communicate with you, though.
Yeah.
Facial recognition shit they promote is a way for Uncle Sam to add you to the database. Yes, but don't think for 1 second that your phone's not doing the same thing.
Everything that you think about, everything that Facebook has done, or Facebook and Apple has done in recent years, it's all about allowing the intelligence agencies to be able to identify people rapidly. So when you started using your thumbprint, to open up your iPad, they instantly had access to your fingerprint. When you started using facial recognition to open up your computer, they instantly had access to your facial recognition features. When Facebook put all that bullshit out about, hey, what do you look like now? They basically upgraded their algorithm, so now they know how you look through time, so it will be easier for facial recognition cameras to identify who you are. It's all about helping the intelligence agencies monitor people. The good news, though, is there are so many fucking people in the United States that right now it's needle in a haystack. They don't really even know what they're looking for. The bad news is they are currently working very diligently and very hard to come up with computer algorithms to just find whatever they want to find. One day they are just going to go,
where's this guy?
Yeah, where is fucking Bill? And the computer's going to go, oh, Bill right now is in fucking
because everything you have, think about it. Every fucking computer, every phone, everything has a fucking camera on it. Your cars even have fucking cameras on them now.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not like endorsing ISIS or saying, hey, we shouldn't. There's certain things we shouldn't have. But the problem with power is abuse of power, and that's where this is going. We are going to a point where one day Democrats are going to say, or whoever, Bernie Sanders is going to be like, find all the gun owners and kill them. Or whatever it is, find this religious faith and kill them. Find these people that have fucking, no teeth and kill them. We're going to that point where the federal government will have that kind of power, and they should not have that power over us. That's why we have a constitution.
Think about it. They have to have an enemy. So if he goes find all the gun owners and kill them, and let's say he gets all the gun owners and kills them all, what are they going to do next? They're going to go after somebody that they couldn't go after because of all the gun owners. It's going to be the gays or whatever the fuck it is. It'll always be something. They always have to have a target. There always has to be an enemy. Otherwise, they have no purpose. They don't. What would they do? I deleted my Facebook at the end of September just because I realized I was spending so much time on there, and it was making me pissed off and depressed. Since I deleted it, I am a lot happier. Other than your stuff and one group I was in, Facebook is full of people that don't like you and are only friends with you to be able to find more reasons to not like you. Think about that. People use the word friend. People use the word friend too openly now. Like, dudes talking shit. There'll be a group of these dudes and they're all fucking mad at SOE. And you're like, what are you mad about? Well, my friend. Your friend who? Well, this guy from a group. Have you ever met him? No, I've never met him. So if we snatched you both up and put you in a room, you wouldn't recognize each other. Everybody's got all these friends, but those aren't your fucking friends. Those are people on the fucking internet.
If they haven't come over to your house and helped you move a couch, they're not really your friends.
Skully's 100% right. Service training, we did it all the time. Laudanum was an opium-based elixir. Scully used the interwebs and looked that right up. A Marine being 10% smarter than the equipment he's using. Brilliant. That's it.
You got to be 10%. You got to be 10% smarter than whatever you're working with.
It's actually only 3%.
Yeah, 3%.
Fuck, I'd be happy with 3% if we could get 3% out of some people.
Yeah, definitely. We've had some doozies come through the door.
We got 20% of the people doing 80% of the work. That's how it is. All right, guys.
All right.
There's your Friday podcast.
Friday podcast. It's sleeting and snowing outside.
Might not be going anywhere, man.
I got 4-wheel drive. I ain't scared.
Crazy out there. Not you.
I ain't scared.